All right, let's talk about something most of us use all the time, but maybe don't really think about, the dictionary. It just sits there on the shelf or on our browser, feeling so final, right? Like it holds the absolute truth about what words mean. But as we're going to see, behind that simple A to Z list is a whole world of challenges, debates, and fascinating problems. You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You look up a word like, say, audacious, and the definition says it means bold. Okay, so you look up bold, and it says courageous. Then you look up courageous, and you find yourself trapped in this endless, frustrating loop that feels like it's going nowhere.
But that little loop isn't just a minor annoyance. No, it's actually a perfect window into one of the toughest jobs out there, being a lexicographer. Yeah, that's the name for the people who write dictionaries. Their job is to somehow grab the huge, messy, always changing meaning of a word and pin it down on a page. And that is way, way harder than it sounds.
So, first things first, we need to get one thing straight. There isn't just one single thing called the dictionary. It's more like a whole universe of different books, different tools, each one built for a totally different person and a different reason. You can slice and dice dictionaries in all sorts of ways. You can organize them by their size, what stuff is inside them, the time period they cover, or even how many languages they use. You have to ask, who is this for? A native speaker or someone just learning the language? Are you looking for what a word means, or are you looking for facts about the thing the word describes? Each question sends you to a totally different kind of dictionary. Let's just take one of the biggest differences, their purpose. A general-purpose dictionary, like the famous Oxford English Dictionary, is written for native speakers. It kind of assumes you already know a lot about the language. But a learner's dictionary, that's a whole different beast. It's designed to teach. The definitions use simpler words, and it gives you a ton of example sentences so you can see exactly how to use the word in the wild. And that brings up another really crucial difference. A dictionary tells you about the word itself. An encyclopedia, on the other hand, tells you about the actual thing out there in the world. So a dictionary will explain the meaning of the word whale. An encyclopedia will tell you all about the biology and habits of the giant mammals swimming around in the ocean. See the difference? It's a big one. And the amount of work that goes into this is just mind-boggling. Let's just look at the Oxford English Dictionary, the OED. They started working on the first edition way back in 1857, and it took them over 40 years just to get it published. The second edition came out in 1989 and was twice as big, 20 volumes. And now it's a living, breathing website that's constantly being updated. We're talking about a project that spans generations, all just to try and map the English language. Okay, so we've looked at the big picture. Now let's zoom in. Way in. We're going from the entire universe of dictionaries down to the single fundamental building block, the entry for one word. And believe me, there's a lot more hiding in there than just a definition. A standard entry is like a little treasure chest of information. You've got the main word itself, which is called the lemma. You've got phonetic info, telling you how to say it out loud. You've got syntactic info, which is all about its grammar. Then there's the semantic info. That's the definition. And often you'll even get its origin story, the etymology. So what's a lemma? It's actually pretty simple. It's just the basic main form of word that you look up. Think about it. It's super efficient. Instead of having a whole separate entry for write and writes and wrote and writing, they're all just grouped together under the one lemma, write. It's like the family name for a whole cluster of related words. And that syntactic information, honestly, you can think of it like the word's instruction manual. It tells you it's part of speech. Is it a noun, a verb, an adjective? If it's a verb, does it need something to act on? It's all the little rules that tell you exactly how to plug that word into a sentence so that it actually works and makes sense. It's pretty crucial stuff. Okay, now we're getting to the real core of it all, the main event. How on earth do you actually define a word? How do you take a concept, an idea that lives inside millions of people's heads, and somehow bottle it up in a clear, perfect little sentence? Well, the classic technique is something called an analytical definition. It sounds fancy, but it's really just a simple two-step process. Step 1. You put the thing into a big general category. You put it in a box. Step 2. You say what makes it special and different from everything else in that same box. For example, a horse is an animal. That's the box. That's used for riding and for pulling things. That's what makes it special. Simple, right? But even though that process sounds really elegant and straightforward, it can go wrong. Oh boy, can it go wrong. Defining words is like walking a tightrope, and there are a few classic ways to fall. Let's look at some of the lexicographer's worst nightmares. Nightmare number one is obscurity. I mean, just look at this definition of air. Is it scientifically accurate? Absolutely. But is it helpful for the average person just trying to understand the word? Probably not. It takes a really simple, everyday word and explains it using a bunch of way more complicated terms. A good definition should make things clearer, not murkier.
All right, so take a look at this. What do you think the problem is here? This brings us right to our second, and maybe the most infamous of all the dictionary writer's problems, circularity.
And here it is in all its glory. You look up courageous, and the dictionary tells you it means brave. Okay, so you look up bold, and it says courageous. You've just been sent on a wild goose chase that leads you right back to where you started. You never get a solid answer. The dictionary is just defining words using other words which are defined by the first word you looked up. It's a circle. And sometimes it isn't even a simple little circle. Sometimes it's a whole chain. Look at this. Chase is defined with the word pursue. Pursue is defined with the word follow. Each step just pushes you further down the line, but it never actually lands you on a simple foundational idea. It's an incredibly tricky problem because language itself is just a giant web where everything refers to everything else. So, what's the big takeaway here? I think it's this. Dictionaries aren't these perfect, all-knowing, infallible books. They're not. They are incredible, ambitious, human projects. The best way to think about them is as maps of language. And just like any map, they're just a representation of a place, not the place itself. They have flaws, they're always being updated, and they're always playing catch-up with the wild, messy way we all actually talk. And all of this leaves us with one last big question. In our world of instant search results and AI that can give us an answer to literally anything, what's the future of the dictionary? What does it even mean to define a word anymore? And who gets to be the one to decide? It's a huge question, and it just goes to show how this project that's been going on for centuries is still so important and so alive today. Thanks for joining me.